Hey guys, Marsingin here bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video. And so earlier today, the EZA details for the LR Rose were announced, tweeted out on the official JP Dokkan Twitter page. We got the translations obviously not long after that. Unfortunately, we were all expecting for the last couple of days to potentially see some news around the time that we get the normal news drops, which would have been 9 AM UK time. Those of you that come out to my early streams know that that's sort of around the time that the stream is wrapping up, and then if we get news drop at the end, then obviously I go over it. But this dropped a few hours earlier than expected, so the news came out at 4 AM while I was asleep. So rather than obviously make a video that was a little bit behind just going over the translations and what he did, I thought I would do a bit more of an in-depth video to come out a little bit later on, where not only do I talk about obviously what he does, but I've also seen some of the calcs, which I will show, and then I just wanted to have a bit of a discussion about the unit overall, where I think he kind of fits into the meta, right? Because I have seen some people, I feel like, very much underrating him already, which, you know, no surprise, right? We always see that every time a unit's details come out. People will always underrate units, especially when the unit isn't exactly what they wanted it to be. And then, you know, we start acting like the unit is terrible when they're maybe just like quite good instead of really good, for example, right? So LR Rose Goku Black gets Future Saga 150 lead and 4 key, to be expected. Secondary lead is Extreme Int 4 key and 100%. Probably not going to be used as a leader, right? I mean, we just got a bunch of Future Saga lead characters, new ones or ones with EZAs. So I guess maybe for like Battlefield, he could be useful, but I can't imagine any other place where you're realistically going to be running him as a leader. But his super attacks on EZA, so he greatly raises defense for 1 turn on the 12 key, which he did do before, but he does colossal damage, and now he has a medium chance to stun. It's kind of a pointless addition when, you know, there's not many stages where that's very useful, but I guess in the ones where it is, you know, could be helpful. But then for his 18 key, the major change, obviously he still does mega colossal damage, but as well as greatly raising defense, he also greatly raises attack. So obviously that helps him do a lot more damage. This unit, and the one thing we kind of have to remember, is he has always been a damage dealing unit, right? That is his role, which is something I'm going to talk about a little bit later in the video. But that's what he's all about, right? Like, even now, we did a run with him on the stream earlier today, where obviously he doesn't have his EZA yet, and on some of his better turns on the Zamasu team, he's still hitting like 10 million attack stats, which for a unit that's like 3.5 years old is not bad, right? So pretty good that he's now got the greatly raises attack when he gets his EZA. Then his passive, he gets 3 key. I believe he didn't get any key before. And then attack and defense 160, which I think was 66% before. So a big buff to the stats, because remember, LRs don't get any extra levels when they EZA. So they don't, like, you know, with TURs, we can very often say, you know, like, with their with their EZA stats, plus what they're getting in there, the actual EZA passive, that can make a big effect, but LRs obviously don't get that, so him getting the big buff to stats start of turn is obviously very good. Then he gets an additional attack and defense 8% each time key rises by 1, up to 160. So this is a massive change, because this was attack only before. So obviously the more key, the more orbs you pick up, the more key you get, the more he's going to be, you know, cooking both offensively and defensively. And remember, it's based on your key. It's not based on number of orbs collected. So if you have like support on the team, support on the rotation, you know, units that give support from the previous turn, and you're picking up like, you know, int orbs, for example, that are giving extra key because they're same type, you can still get to these higher numbers of key, and you're not having to rely on units that have passives like GOKU, for example, or Bulma, where you're trying to pick up like 6 or 7 orbs specifically. You just have to get to the certain amount of key. So having 3 key to start the turn is really good. When you get to 18 or more key, he gets an extra 3. So that helps him out for this next part, which is he gets a guaranteed additional super when key is 22. So what that means is you only have to get him to key 19, because then the 18 or more part kicks in and he gets 3 extra key, and that will put him to 22, right? So the goal is always going to be to try and get him to 19 ki. That gives him a guaranteed additional super attack, which then greatly raises his defense again, which is a 50% raise, right? So it's nothing to turn your nose up at, right? That's a lot of defense. So then his biggest issue that had people worrying about his EZA is he has the final blow mechanic, right? So pre-EZA, it was just 2 ki with each final blow up to 6, which means you've got to get 3 in order to get it maxed out, which is pretty terrible. And they have actually changed it quite significantly, more so than I thought they would. They've now made it so you only need to get 1 finishing blow, which, you know, that mechanic is still pretty annoying, but just having to get 1 is definitely more ideal than having to get 3. So getting 1 gives him ki 6 and a 50% chance to crit for the rest of the battle. So with these shorter fights now that are sometimes only 2 phases, like, it would be impossible for you to get 3 finishing blows, right? Whereas now you do still need to get 1, so ideally you're going to want the timing and the rotations to go well enough that this INT Rosé is getting the finishing blow in the first phase, and then you're getting 6 ki and the 50% chance to crit. So that means that, you know, he's starting off the turn with 9 extra ki in his passive, and as long as we're getting to 19, we're then getting the buff to jump up to 22 and get an additional super. So getting the finishing blow is obviously going to make a significant difference to how good he is, especially when it comes to thinking about how to do his hidden potential, because he is a unit that you're going to want him to get additional supers because he's getting this greatly raised defense. If you're getting the additional super from his passive, that means that he has a second chance to trigger the hidden potential additional. So you don't need to go like full additional, right? You don't need to be giving him, like, I would say, any, you know, if you're at like 25 or more, maybe that's a little bit high. I mean, 25 additional is a 50% chance, and then it's going to proc twice, right? So it's like 2 coin flips. I would say maybe at the highest, you probably want his additional to be at like 20. And then I would put the rest into dodge, because he doesn't need crit. If you're getting the finishing blow, him having crit in his hidden potential is pointless. Now, the thing you have to think about is, of course, what if you never get the finishing blow? Then obviously he's not going to have any crit if you don't give him any. So having a little bit of crit may be okay as well. And then, of course, there will be the people that will want to go full dodge. I mean, you can do that, of course. I would say full dodge, and then you put the rest in additional, right? Because you still want that chance to get the 3 supers in 1 turn. And I'm going to show the calcs for what he gets up to if you do that in a minute here. So he also recovers 6% HP when HP is 66% or above, and recovers 6% HP at the end of the turn in which attack was received. The after receiving an attack is the same. The extra HP recovery when you start the turn at 66% or above is new, and it's just yet another unit on Zamasu's team that has a bunch of healing. Now, the one downside, well, I mean, let's say the one, right? Let's not get ahead of ourselves. But the big downside I see to the unit is that because his rage mode is an active skill, the condition will not change, because they still haven't done any sort of update to the game to make it possible for them to do that. I don't know if they ever will. They really should. But that means his rage mode can only be used when HP is 66% or less, starting from the 6th turn from the start of battle. So having to get to turn 6 is pretty annoying. 66% or less isn't necessarily so bad in some of these events where, you know, you can be at full health on turn 5 and then someone takes a super and you've lost like most of your HP. So not that difficult potentially. And there's a weird interaction with his healing passive, because this says HP 66 or above and this says HP 66 or less. So if you get to that like perfect key like amount of HP where you're bang on 66%, this will still, the rage mode will still be available because you were at 66% at the start of the turn, but you will also heal 6%, right? So you're going to be on 72% HP, but you're going to be able to use the rage mode. Now that's very rarely going to come up because you'd have to be at exactly 66, right? Like if you're at 65.9 at the start of the turn, you're going to be able to use the rage mode and you're not going to heal. If you're at 66.1%, you're not going to be able to use the rage mode, but you are going to get the heal. So very weird. When we go over to his rage mode, they've made his rage mode very powerful, which I think they should do, right? Because it's going to be very difficult to get. He greatly raises attack temporarily and does destructive damage on the 12 key, massively raises attack temporarily and does destructive damage on the 18 key. He didn't have either of those modifiers on his super attack before. And now he gets key 6, so he's already, remember, rage modes and giant forms, they don't get any links, so they don't get any key. with key 6, that means he's just going to be starting off at 12 key. So he's always going to super. And then he gets 2 key per key sphere obtained, whereas before it was only 1. Well, it's +1. So +2 means it's 3 key from rainbow and any non-int orbs. And then int orbs are going to give him 4 key. So you basically only have to pick up 2 orbs of any typing to get your 18 key super. So very, very good. And then his attack's effective against all types, which is a crossover, like a stayover from before. So that seems really good. I actually really can't wait to see his attack stats. When we did the run on stream with him earlier, his rage mode 18 key supers were only hitting about 3 million attack, I think. But obviously now he's going to be massively raising attack, which is a 100% raise. So if we take into account like he doesn't get any extra stats, so in theory that means he's going to be dropping like 6 million if we base it on the numbers that I saw earlier today. Now the rage mode, 6 million attack stat for free. You know, it's not the craziest number, but you're unable to take any damage. And then, of course, the rage mode has the same effect as the giant form, where you then, on the turn where the rage mode ends, the boss can't super attack as long as they super attack you during the rage mode. If you're in one of the AoE events, the boss can't AoE if they did it during the rage mode. And then if you're doing any of the events where the boss can, like, heal, if then they did it during the rage mode, they can't do it again in the turn afterwards. So this could be very effective. It just means you actually have to be able to get it out, which, as we've already said, it's like turn 6 at the earliest, which is a little bit disappointing, I will say. But overall, I do think this guy is looking pretty good. I saw a lot of people immediately saying that he's mid or saying that he's trash. I really do not agree with that whatsoever. So let me get the calcs up here. So shout out to Halvard over on the Twitter. These are his defense calcs. So without support at the start of the turn, his defense is 190k. Now that sucks, right? And one of the big criticisms that I've seen people say is that, you know, he is going to get absolutely shredded by AoEs, which is true, but like so do many units in the game, right? Fusion Zamasu invalidates like 90% of the units in the game in turn 1, right? Like even the 8-year LR GT duo, who most people I'm sure would still agree are very, very good, on turn 1, before they've gotten any of their attacks off to build up their damage reduction, they're taking like 200 to 300k not like from his AoE if you don't have an item active. So many units in the game just get like shown up by this AoE attack from Fusion Zamasu. So I don't think it's really fair to say that, oh, well, this unit will take loads of damage from Zamasu's AoE, therefore they are bad. Because, to be honest, Zamasu's event is a really bad matchup for this Rose anyway, because he's a unit that gets all of his defense on super, and Fusion Zamasu does an AoE in phase 1, and then phase 2 is physical, which means he's type disadvantage. So it's already a really bad match for him in terms of the event, right? Now, after his 12 key super, he would get 558k defense, 18 key super would be 694. The reason why that's different when they both greatly raise attack is because, remember, he's getting extra stats from his key, right? So if you have max key, then obviously you're getting a certain amount of extra defense because he gets 8% attack and defense per additional, like, per key he has, right? So after his additional super, if you just get 18 key, he has 926, so close enough to 1 million. And then if you get a second super, because you get the hidden potential one after getting the one from his passive, he goes up to 1.15 million. Now, this puts him in the range, even after just one additional. So if you can get 22 key, or you don't get it, but you do get the hidden potential super, he is going to tank all normals in the game, apart from, I guess, like a really strong physical enemy. In fact, I don't think even Fusion Zamasu in the second phase, I don't think does enough damage with his normals that he's going to be taking a lot of damage. Like, he might not take double-digit damage, but with 926k defense, he is tanking all the normals in the game. Now, this is why I said earlier on that I would talk a bit more about roles, and those of you guys that were in the stream earlier, I've talked about it before in other videos. Units have roles, and Zamasu's role on the team is to be a damage dealer. He is going to do some crazy amounts of damage, especially if you're getting like the triple super turn. I can't wait to see like the in-game stuff, right? I feel like people's opinions on this unit are really going to change when the in-game stuff comes out. Now, obviously, we need the data download, and then people like, actually, I think Dokkan World is doing these advanced EZA previews by actually just getting someone to like make the EZA in the private server without even needing the data download. So as far as I know, at the time this video goes up, he might even have a video out already. But this guy on the team is going to be doing tons of damage. Now, after he's super attacked, he's going to tank normals, but he's going to die to the biggest, toughest bosses' super attacks. Now, I've mentioned this a million times before, and I know some people don't agree, some people don't look at the game that way, but like, that's how it is, right? That's how units have different roles and different uses on the team. If every single unit in the game could tank all the big boss super attacks for like 100 or 200k damage, the game would be too easy, and then what would be the point of playing it, right? So you want units on your team that can tank, and then in return they don't do crazy amounts of damage. Obviously sometimes Dokkan, you know, makes these crazy busted units that do everything, but units like Rose is on the team to drop these like multiple 15 million attack stats per turn, I think is one of the things I saw. And then, you know, if he gets supered, you die, unless you have an item active, which of course circles back around to the constant debate in the community with, especially with these new events. I feel like it's really been flaring up a lot as to whether or not you should use items or take into consideration items. In these new events, with how difficult they are right from the start, I feel like items have become a bit more important. The new stages, of course, can be no itemed, but you know, some of these big bosses, like there are very few units on your team who are eating a super from these bigger bosses without an item active, right? You need units that are either tanks with damage reduction or have built-in dodge and stuff like that, right? So he's on the team to do loads of damage, but the point of showing the calcs is that his defense is not terrible. So with max key meter, obviously he still starts at the turn with the same defense, because the thing for him getting this extra attack and defense per his amount of key, that is checked when he goes to attack, right? So you actually wouldn't be able to get the 12 key super, of course, because you wouldn't have 12 key if you've got 24 key. So the 18 key super, after that he has 740k. So that's after one super if you got 24 key. Now that is pretty much enough to tank all normals in the game at the moment. So that's after one super if he's getting 24 key. After an additional, he's up to 987, and after a second additional, he's up to 1.23, and then this one underneath is with a 40% support unit and also getting max key. So if you have a unit on the rotation with him that's giving him support, who's probably giving him key as well, and you get to 20 key, then after one super, he's at 854, which again, he's tanking all normals with that. Then after one additional super, he's at 1.13, and then a second additional super, he's at 1.4. Now, on this turn, which admittedly is like the God RNG turn, right? 40% support, he gets 3 super attacks, he's got basically 1.5 million defense. That means even some of the bigger bosses' supers are only doing like, what, maybe 400k at most, which is a lot, but Zamasu's team has over 700k HP, and then like 50 units that heal you. So I definitely do not think that he is bad. He might not be like the new best yellow coin LR EZA. Maybe he is, I don't know. Like, again, I need to see him in game. I still think this is very important. I know people who are married to calcs and spreadsheets and stuff like that, right? The numbers don't lie. The numbers are the numbers. But seeing the unit in the game and seeing like the numbers that they put out and the responses they have to the various attacks and stuff like that, I still think has its own value as well. I think you need both more so than you need one and not the other, because the calcs can help you understand what's going on in terms of the numbers, but seeing it in game, I mean, for me it just always like feels that little bit different, right, to see it in game and actually see how the unit is like hanging in these events, right? So I definitely think that Rose is pretty good. I'm looking forward to seeing, I don't know if we're going to get a data download at some point today or if it's going to be tomorrow morning. If we get the data download later today, it means the EZA might actually come out within the next 24 hours. And of course, if we do find out the details, I will make the EZA team building guide, as I always do. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Like I say, I wanted to have a bit more of an in-depth discussion about it rather than just posting the straight up translations, because like I say, I kind of missed the boat on when this came out, you know, first thing as breaking news. But I just wanted to discuss it a little bit. I do feel a little bit disappointed sometimes when I see these crazy like overreactions, in my opinion, from the community. I know with all the Goku Black related shenanigans in this celebration, no Part 2 LR, then the TUR in Goku Black EZA was a bit, well, I say a bit, was underwhelming. And then this guy, obviously people would have loved it if this guy got his EZA and everyone was just immediately like, you read his details and it's like, oh, damn, he's like the best LR in the game now. But I feel like that was obviously a very unrealistic expectation. I think he's going to be good. I think he's going to be fun to use. Yeah, he's going to struggle against AoEs or difficult physical bosses, but I think he's going to be fun to use. So I personally am looking forward to it. I obviously have mine Rainbow Link level 10 ready to go. So I guess we will see. So let me know all your thoughts about him down below in the comment section. Do you think he's good? Do you think he's not good enough? Do you actually think he's bad? And, you know, explain to me why. I'm perfectly happy to listen to people's opinions, even if they don't agree with me. You guys know that I'm pretty chill when it comes to this sort of thing. But let me know what you guys think about the Rose EZA down below. Here's a nice little ending to the celebration that we are getting this as well. And of course, Global should probably find out tomorrow morning what our next Dokkan Fest is going to be. And of course, JP is getting the Tournament of Power Android 17 and 18. So let me know all your thoughts on this and the worldwide celebration as a whole down below in the comment section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.